recording again. Okay, so let's continue. So we finished with buyer's side of the market. Let's do the same for the sellers. We're going to do the same for the sellers. Marginal cost is supply. A bit of a reminder. So cost, of course, is what the producers have to give up in order to produce the goods or services. If we look at per unit, we're going to move on to marginal cost, right? And remember, as we mentioned when we looked at supply, one way of looking at supply is at a price, how much are the sellers going to sell? Remember, the supply, just like any function, y equals a plus bx, is just a relationship between y and x. It's just a relationship between price and quantity. One way of looking at this relationship is at a given price, how much are the quantities that the sellers will be happy enough to sell. Another way of looking at it is just going the other direction. For a given quantity, what will be the minimum price they're happy enough to sell? Of course, the highest price is sky high, but for a given quantity, what's the minimum price, right, per unit? And that's actually going to be equal to cost. Because if it costs you 300 NT to make a shirt, right, including the value of your time, if it costs you 300 NT to make a shirt, are you happy to sell it for 325,000 NT? Why not? Are you happy enough to sell it for 3,000 NT? Yeah, nice. Are you happy to sell it for 1,000 NT? Yeah, okay. How low can I go? You won't sell it for 300, for under 300, because what's the point, right? So the minimum is your cost. So per unit, once we switch to per unit basis, then we do come up with a bit of a reminder, right? That supply shows us the marginal cost of production. Okay. So similarly to what we did with demand, right? Individual supply, where's the line? It's hard to read on the board, individual supply versus market supply, right? Which is the relationship between price and quantity sold, right? We already know this. For one person, right? And the same here, with the difference for all sellers, right? So it's hard to read on the board. Just like we did for demand, let's split our understanding of general supply into individual and market supply. It's a relationship between price and quantity sold, in this case, for one person, if it's individual, or for all sellers, if it's the market. And if we look at a particular chart of a supply, which it doesn't have to be a straight line. Let's say we have a supply curve like this, for example. For now, we're not calculating things. somewhere here. Let's say the price of 10. And we have several units here. Right? The first unit is going to generate $10 of revenue, right? Because one unit will be sold at $10, the total revenue is $10, but it costs something to make that first unit, shown by the marginal cost. This is how much it costs to make that unit. So the extra, which is called profit or producer surplus, right, is over here. Right? Same for the second unit, and the third, and fourth, and fifth. Right? So producer surplus is the area under producer surplus is the area under market price and above supply curve. By the way, I think I forgot to give this definition for consumer surplus. So let's do it now. A bit of a reminder, consumer surplus, area under demand curve and above market price. Okay, so that's from the previous section of the class. A bit of a reminder, consumer surplus is equal to the area under the demand curve and above the market price. For producer surplus, if it's hard to read, it's equal to the area under the market price and above the supply curve. All right. So if we join them together, doesn't matter what's the shape. It doesn't have to be a straight line. Anything like that, doesn't matter. Supply, demand, there's the market price, right? Yeah. I'll put P star there. So all of this area is a consumer surplus, right? The blue area. The red area is a producer surplus. Right? Individual versus market, it's clear enough, I guess, so I can erase that. Similar again to what we did with demand, we just add up the supply, right? Add individual supplies into market supply. How do we do it? Same way. Just add the quantities horizontally, because adding the equations doesn't really work. So let's just do it for some example. on different color. Different color for clarity. Oh, and what is supply, right? So supply. So let's say like this, different color. And maybe something like that. Maybe again different color. Blue for the third guy. Let's put the numbers. There. Let's say this is Alan, Bob, Kathy, or something like that. These are all supply curves. A, B, C are supply curves, right? What are the equations? I think for Alan, the equation is 10, price equals 10, even if there is nothing sold, still 10, plus, remember the slope is rise over run, right? 10 over 10, rise over run is 1. 10 over 10 plus Q, right? For Bob, price is equal to, where is Bob? Bob is blue, yes? 30 plus 10 over 10. Because the slope is run over rise over run. Q, like this. And for Kathy, price is equal to 20 plus 20 over 10, 2. 2Q. Right? That's how we can get the equations from the lines, right? So P starts with some number, even if Q is 0, just put the number there. That's the vertical intercept, right? Then we need the slope, because this is the slope. Y equals A plus BX. B is the slope, right? Slope from high school is rise over run. Rise is how high, run is over how long, right? If you have any questions, let me know. But I think you did it many times in high school. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Now let's add up. Okay? So, under the price of 10, how many sellers do we have? Under the price of 10, we have no sellers. Between the price of 10 and 20, how many sellers do we have? Between the price of 10 and 20, how many sellers do we have? Only one seller. Only Alan is selling between 10 and 20, right? At the price of 20, we have second seller jumping in. So we're going to have a break in the supply curve, right? Between 20 and 30, we're going to have two sellers, right? And at the price of 30, another seller jumps in. So another break in the supply curve, right? So we're going to have two breaks. Above 30, we have three sellers. Right? Okay, so something like that. At the 10, we just start with 0, right? Because Alan is just about to start to sell at 10. Okay. Up to 20, he's the only seller. So up to 20, we go 10 as well, right? Yeah. His slope is 1. Over here, there's a point, it's 20. This is 10. Okay. So at the price of, let's go to the next price of 30. That's going to be the next breaking point, right? Between 20 and 30, nobody else is jumping in between 20 and 30, right? At 20, one seller jumps in. At 30, one seller jumps in. So between 20 and 30, nobody's jumping in, meaning that it's a straight line. That's why I can just connect the 2 points, right? So that's why I can go from 20 to 30, right? So at 30, who is going to sell how many at 30? 20, 30. I'm sorry, again, it's kind of, anyway, not to scale, I guess. But anyway, at 30, right? If this is 30, Alan is going to sell 20, right? nothing from Bob, and Kathy is going to sell 5, right? So together 25, yes? At 30 we have 25, so that's 10, 25. Something is really not to scale, because I gotta have a break here, it's not straight. Because if it were to go straight, it would go to 20, right? It would go to 20. Because a straight line going this way with the same slope is going to go to 20. At 30 it's going to be 20, but it should be 25, so there should be a bit of a break over there. So let me just do it again. Looks like this is going to be 20. So 25 is, let's say, here. So I'm going to connect with this point instead, right? Connecting with that point instead, something like that, right? Maybe there's a bit of a break over there. It should be anyway. There should be a break. There is a break. Not there should be. There is a break. I just can't really do it very well to scale, right? Then at 30 and above 30, we have 3 buyers. We can just choose any price. Let's choose 40, or we can choose 50 or 100, because it's same 3 buyers. We don't add any more people. The remaining part is going to be a straight line. We're going to have another break over here, but whichever way it goes, here, here, or here, is going to be a straight line. Just one more point is enough to connect that straight line, right? So we are going to have another break at 30 because somebody else is jumping in at 30. The blue color is jumping in at 30, right? But which direction is going to go? I just need one more point because it's going to be a straight line from that. So let's choose 40, doesn't matter, right? So blue is selling 10 and 40, red is selling 10 and 40, and at 40, Alan is going to sell 30. So that's together 60, I think, right? So this is 20, that's 40, so that should be 60 over here. 50, is it? Okay. Blue is selling 10 at 40, right? Red is selling 10 at 40, right? And this is, if this is 40, this is 30. Yeah, you're right, 50, right? So let's say 50 is here, right? At 40, we have 50, so there's 50. 40 is, let's say, somewhere here, so 10, 20, 30, 40. There's a point I'm going to connect to. I do have 2 breaks, here and here, right? That's the market supply curve. Let's say market price is equal to 40. How much is the producer surplus? So market price is at 40. Right? So the producer surplus is all of this red dotted area, right? Let's break it up into simpler shapes, right? We're going to have a triangle here, and a rectangle, another rectangle, a triangle. So again, 3 triangles, 2 rectangles. I can calculate how much is the producer surplus. So it's going to be equal to, let me go from bottom to top. The lowest triangle is, yes, 10 times 10 over 2, right? 10 times 10 over 2 plus left rectangle is 10 times 10 plus the second lowest triangle, 10 times 15, yes, thank you, over 2. That remaining rectangle is 10 times 25, and plus the remaining triangle is 10 times 25 over 2. Right? Let me double check. So this is the triangle, 10 times 10 over 2. That's the rectangle, 10 times 10. This is the small triangle, 10 times 15 over 2. That's correct. This is the rectangle, 10 times 25. That's correct. And this is the remaining triangle, 10 times this difference again, 25 over 2. That's correct. So how do we get this? Is 50 minus 25. So that you don't get confused. This 25 is not the same as this. It's the difference here. And how much is that altogether? I don't really know. But I guess it's possible to find out. This 150, this is 75, right? So that will be 225 plus 250, that will be 475, right? 475 plus 125 is going to be 600. Correct me if I'm wrong, is it 600? I'm getting 600. Is that right? Yeah, no? Anyone? So I'm going to put a question mark here because you probably want, okay, good. So I can erase the question mark, thank you. I was going to say that this question mark means that you got to double check my numbers. But, okay, that's correct. Total revenue. It's kind of easy enough, I guess, but can you guys tell me, how much is total revenue? For that same chart. So for that same chart, how much is total revenue? What's the formula for total revenue? If I sell you 3 chairs at the price of 600 each, how much is the total revenue that I receive from you? I think it's 1,800, right? So how did I get that? Exactly. Quantity times price. Right. So how much is total revenue? How much is the quantity? The total sold for all the people? 50. Right. And the price? No price discrimination. All the units are sold at the same price. What is the price? 40. Yeah. So that's I think it's 2,000, right? I think it's 2,000, is it? So that's total revenue, right? This is the profit, right? Then total cost should be 1,400, something like that, right? Because supply is also marginal cost. The cost of each unit. This is the cost of the first unit, the second unit, the third unit, the fourth, the fifth, all of this, right? Questions? So that's enough for today. Next week we'll continue the chapter to see how all of this is connected to efficiency. Because we try to maximize consumer surplus and producer surplus together. Okay? Questions?